Mistress Roberts, and you're watching Faint Signals from Vega. So tonight I thought, since as I mentioned I was quite busy doing various things, and I thought I would share another essay from Gentle World, and it's called A Call to Feminists. And I think without having to explain what that's about, I'll just go into the essay now. So, after repeated cycles of forced impregnations, painful births, relentless milkings, and crushing bereavements, their spirit gives, their bodies wither, their milk dries up. At the age when, in nature, a female cow would barely enter adulthood, the life of a dairy cow is over. When her milk production declines, she and her other spent herd mates are trucked off to slaughter. Some are pregnant, all are still lactating. As they are shoved towards death, they drip milk onto the killing floor. And hello to everybody before I go on. Hello, Jessie. So as they are shoved towards death, they drip milk onto the killing floor. All dairy operations, including organic, exist solely by doing to millions of defenseless females the worst thing anyone can do to a mother. Dairy consumers support this practice with their purchases, end quote. And that comes from the Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary leaflet titled Milk Comes from a Grieving Mother. When visiting the non-vegan home of a self-proclaimed feminist, she offered me cow's milk with my tea. That's when I made the profound connection that it's impossible to be truly a feminist while consuming dairy or any animal products, as an entire animal industry is built on the exploitation of the female reproductive system. This must be recognized as a feminist issue because it is analogous to the feminist movement's struggle for women to have control of their own bodies. Animals of both sexes suffer under institutionalized exploitation. However, the female of the species often experiences more prolonged abuse, including an ongoing cycle of forceful artificial insemination, mechanical or manual rape, physical abuse of her mammary glands, and invariably being separated from her young. All of these are emotionally brutal experiences for the female members of any species. Male animals are also sexually abused, not only through the industry practice of castration, but also by being used as semen donors. And they show some photos there of semen being collected from male bulls. So it says there are photos online showing bulls in contraptions being forced to supply the, quote, artificial insemination, end quote, industry. All of this is a part of dairy consumption. It's pretty perverted, as is all animal use when you think about it candidly. The animal farming industry has done quite a job of advertising images of, quote, happy cows, end quote, gladly giving us their milk, as well as covering up their offensive procedures. However, even if all the heartless practices associated with factory farming, and that's in quotes, were not customary, it is deeply troubling that the female reproductive system of any species is widely perceived as nothing more than an economic resource. Many in the feminist movement might be interested to learn that some in the animal industry actually use the term, quote, rape rack, end quote, to describe the piece of equipment used to restrain and artificially inseminate cows and pigs. Even on many small-scale farms, though, inseminators invade the animal's body by putting their arm up her rectum to push on the cervix while inseminating her with the other hand. Inconceivably to me, even women perform this job. I often ponder in disbelief our culture's uncivilized ways and what people choose to fund with their purchases. It's hard to imagine a human imagine a human being taking a crying baby from his mother shortly after birth to have his throat slit. However, this is the fate of calves born to cows used for dairy production. Bobby calves, that's in quotes, the unwanted male calves who are an unavoidable byproduct of the dairy industry, are generally taken away soon after birth, both on organic and non-organic farms, and are frequently sold to be turned into veal. In some countries, male calves are shot at birth. Both mother and calf are traumatized and bellow loudly after their forced separation. And some mothers even try to get in between the farmer and the calf. In one astonishing story, an unsuspecting veterinarian discovered a mother cow's remarkable attempt to hide one of her calves in an attempt to save him. Because she is re-impregnated every year while still lactating from the previous pregnancy, a, quote, dairy cow will spend 6 to 7 months a year producing milk while she is also pregnant. This is true on organic and free-range farms as well. A calf would naturally feed 5 to 6 times a day, so that the maximum amount of milk in his mother's udder would be around 2 litres at any one time. But on modern dairy farms, a cow is only milked twice a day, allowing milk to accumulate in the udder, thus forcing her to carry around 20 litres of milk or more. This greatly enlarged udder leads to lameness in her hind legs and predisposes her to mastitis, a painful udder infection. Her only rest from this appalling existence is during the last 2 months of her pregnancy, when she is not milked in preparation for giving birth. Then the awful cycle starts again. Hobbles and shackles are commonly attached to the hind legs of cows who have suffered damage during calving and would not be able to stand of their own accord. Injured cows are often forced to continue in pain for 7 to 8 months until their milk yield drops, so the farmer won't lose a large quantity of milk. And then they are killed. Seeing photos of these shackles online conjures up images of slavery and shines a light on the very real fact that bred and farmed animals are slaves, owned by human masters, in quotes, and treated as if they were lifeless objects. The dairy cow, riddled with painful ailments as a result of her exploitation and physically ravaged from the sexual abuse she has experienced, is eventually killed to be eaten when she is no longer producing, typically at around 5 years of her otherwise 20 to 25-year lifespan. It's unjust for humans to steal milk intended to nourish growing babies of another species. For the life of me, I can't figure out why anybody would want to drink cow's milk, perfectly designed for baby calves. Cow's milk provides the calf with the nutrients to grow to 450 pounds in just a year. A cow's breast milk is much higher in protein than the requirements for humans and provides everything calves need for rapid growth. Humans have no physical need to consume products that are the result of horrific practices such as tail docking, dehorning, branding, castration, rape racks, induced calving, artificial insemination, painful procedures performed without pain relief, embryo transfers and hormone treatments resulting in 3 to 6 calves instead of the usual single birth, separation of mother from newborn, and killing infants. It is becoming increasingly clear that there is perhaps even more suffering involved in milk, cheese, and egg consumption than flesh consumption. Therefore, choosing to be vegetarian for ethical reasons is not logical. Abstaining from all animal products is the ethical stance that gives basic minimal respect due to sentient beings. Oppression is oppression. Violence is violence. The species of the victim is irrelevant. The way I see it, to be an animal rights activist is to be a vegan. To be an abolitionist is to be a vegan. To be a non-speciesist is to be a vegan. To be an environmentalist is to be a vegan. To be a peace-loving pacifist is to be a vegan. To be an ethicist is to be a vegan. And yes, to be a feminist is to be a vegan. So that's from Gentle World, and with their kind permission, they've given me permission to share various blogs from their site. So somebody was asking here, what brands of tasty vegan products can you purchase that don't have soy? I'm trying not to eat soy as well as animal products, and I'm finding it difficult to eat enough. So there's actually quite a lot of different, Alana, there's quite a lot of different alternatives to dairy. There's various nut milks, there's hemp milk. There's actually a brand of plant-based milk called Ripple, R-I-P-P-L-E, and that's actually a pea protein, and apparently it's supposed to be very yummy. We don't get a lot of, we get a number of different nut milks in Australia, but I think there's actually a lot more in the United States if that's where you're from. And you're saying you're finding it difficult to eat enough. I'm not sure what that means. You're finding it difficult to eat enough. You mean enough food, or you might have to elaborate on that, and maybe I'll address that in a future live stream. Yes, and that's true. The government does, and medical practitioners tell a lot of people that dairy is important for our health, which is just so far from the truth. And I invite you to visit a science-backed site called nutritionfacts.org. That's nutritionfacts, F-A-C-T-S.org, and look up dairy. And it's actually science-based. So, I mean, they scan they scan lots of nutrition journals and lots of science journals and lots of medical journals and lots of cardiology journals. And then they gather information from human studies. And dairy is a horror story, particularly in relation to breast cancer. So I'm not, and it actually, dairy actually leaches calcium from bones. So you can get plenty of calcium from plants and, non-animal sources. You can get plenty of calcium. In fact, it's a good calcium. So let's see. Kate says, so Real Progressives is telling us we can't be progressive unless we are vegan. I don't think Real Progressives is telling you anything. I don't represent Real Progressives. I just do live streams here, and Real Progressives is vegan friendly. So Real Progressives isn't instructing anybody and isn't judging anybody, and I'm certainly not judging anybody either. But as you can see from what I just read to you, that it is undeniable and indisputable that animal farming, in this case, dairy, animals used for dairy, that it's great violence, and it's causing tremendous suffering and death on sentient animals, and for completely unnecessary reasons, because we don't need animal products to survive, and we can easily meet all our nutrition requirements from plants and other non-animal sources. So the only reason we have to be inflicting this incredible suffering on these non-human sentient animals is because we think that these animal products taste good. And, you know, as you can see, as I said, if you go to nutritionfacts.org, it's quite a nightmare when you see what animal products, the effects they have on our bodies, and the incredible benefits of a plant-based diet. So, you know, it's actually, you know, something like considering the violence and, considering the violence and everything else, and including the incredible destruction that animal agriculture has on the planet. 51% of greenhouse gases are from animal agriculture, and all that means, the sixth mass extinction, the climate refugees, 1 acre every minute of Amazon rainforest is cleared for animal agriculture. There are environmental and human rights activists in Latin America being murdered because they are protesting animal use industry from destroying the land and the forests there. There's a whole host of reasons, including antibiotic-resistant pathogens now. There are more and more antibiotic-resistant pathogens, bacteria, which is killing tens of thousands of people in hospitals and elsewhere. There are some, and this is all directly related, and this is not just coming from vegans, this is actually coming from the medical profession. It's directly related to the many, literally, I think it's like a million, like hundreds of thousands of tons, or a million tons, I don't know. It's a huge amount of antibiotics are fed to animals in these large industrialized farms. It's absolutely an absolute, you know, we're actually going to find that we'll be back to the time pre penicillin at some point, because 80, like in the United States, 85% of all antibiotics used in the United States are fed to animals in animal agriculture. That's 85% of all antibiotics used in the United States are fed to animals in animal agriculture, and that is because they're so, you know, they're so cramped. That they, you know, they prophylactically give these antibiotics to these animals. So somebody's doing some work upstairs, so hopefully you can still hear me. So it's pretty serious, you know, it's awful for non-human animals in these farms, and it's absolutely, it's going to be, wait until we get to the point where antibiotics do not work whatsoever, and we're gradually going that way. And let's not forget that in animal products, there are trace amounts of antibiotics in animal products. So everybody is eating trace amounts of antibiotics in their animal products, along with all the other things that come with it, the growth hormones, the neurotoxins from pesticides, and on and on and on. So it's absolutely, it's a, what would you say? There are so many reasons. The most important reason not to use sentient animals is because they are sentient, and we don't need to do it. We don't need to. And all the other reasons, the environmental reasons, the antibiotic-resistant bacteria, the health, just the tremendous cost on health. Hundreds of thousands of people die directly as a result from consuming animal products in the way we consume them. It's kind of a really, really sort of, you know, it's, for want of a better word, it's an insanity to keep using animals and to keep consuming animal products for all those reasons. So, let's see, I'll just have a look at some other sort of questions here. Yeah, coconut milk. Jessie said, I love coconut milk. Coconut milk is certainly very yummy. The only problem with coconut milk, it does have trans fats in it. So I tend to stay away from coconut milk just because it does have trans fats. And I might actually, after this live stream, Jessie, I'll post a link to some information about coconut milk so that you can sort of do that just as a what would you say, just as a health measure, only partake in coconut milk every so often. So let's see. I'll have a look at some other things. I think that's about it for somebody's. Josephine says, don't make me choose bacon. Will win over MMT. I suggest, Josephine, you might like to go and have a look at a pig farm and the absolute horror of what a pig farm is, or go and have a look at a mom and pop farm and have a look at the little pigs on that farm and spend some time there, or go to a farm, a sanctuary where animals are, and go and spend time with the animals, the residents on those sanctuaries, and see, and maybe you'll actually see the sentience of those animals up close, because the only difference between those animals that are on our plates and on our backs are that we don't have a personal relationship with them like we would with, say, the cats or dogs whom we might share our life with. Many people live with cats and dogs, and there's really no difference except that they're a different species. I mean, pigs are known to be at least as intelligent as, I think, what is it? They're actually quite intelligent animals, but it doesn't matter. Even if they didn't have anything remotely similar to us in cognitive abilities or anything like that, and if they didn't show any emotion, like there's a lot of aquatic animals that don't show any emotion that is recognizable to we humans, it doesn't really matter, because they don't need to be like us to deserve the right not to be used as property, to be used as things. And you can do two things, Josephine. You can actually support MMT, which is a very, very important issue, which I'm hoping that everybody will find out about. And you can be vegan. You can do both things. You don't have to choose. So, yes, and somebody suggested watching What the Health. That's a good suggestion yeah, and Alana says curry chickpeas are amazing. Absolutely. There's actually a site called Vegan Richa, I think it is, RICHA, and that's on Facebook, and they also have it's VEGANRICHA, and she's actually got a great cookbook out, and she posts regular vegan recipes that are sort of, a lot of them are Indian based, but it's totally yummy. So Alana, if you haven't checked that out, and hello to I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name properly, Rocio or Rockio. I'm sorry, but Rockio's made some comments, and let's see. Portobello mushroom burgers are extremely great. They certainly are. So anyway, and Rocio was saying, download the app Daily Dozen. If you eat everything on the list, you will have more than enough to eat and feel full. Absolutely, Rocio, that's totally true. The Daily Dozen, that's Dr. Grieger's Daily Dozen, and Dr. Grieger is the doctor who does those 2-minute videos every a couple of times a week from nutritionfacts.org, and I would highly recommend that. It's not a vegan site, it's a plant-based nutrition site. There's a difference. One, veganism is an ethical position. The plant-based nutrition site is just about plant-based nutrition, and also has incredible information about animal products, as I mentioned earlier. So let me see. I'll just have another look. Alana has mentioned something else. Oh, I see. Have you only just become vegan, Alana? Because you mentioned you just feel hungry the last few months without meat products. I do feel better and have not had my issues with inflammation. I think I'm just getting tired of my recipes. That's possibly true, Alana. And yes. Oh, sorry. Somebody said. Well, let me get back to that in a second. Somebody just mentioned What the Health, that documentary. Yes, that's a really good documentary. Alana, you should, if you actually incorporate legumes and beans and grains and into your diet, they're incredibly filling. And you sort of if you sort of mix things up and maybe explore some more recipes, and you'll probably find it's just a matter of sort of expanding your range, as you say. And I don't know, I actually have tend to have the opposite problem of there's so many yummy things to eat that I'm not an example of there's people always say, oh, vegans, they just eat rabbit food. Well, that's totally not true. And if you go and look at Vegan Reacher, and there's literally hundreds of I've never seen, I mean, hundreds of plant-based recipe sites on the online. It's truly mind-boggling. It would take me many lifetimes to just get doing one dish, a different dish every day. It would take me many lifetimes to get through the fantastic and yummy recipes there are. So let me see. I'll probably wrap this up soon. I'm just thinking, is there anything else here that anybody else that's mentioned? And Ilana, if you want to contact me and talk about that some more, you can write to info@howtogovegan.org, and that's my site there, How to Go Vegan, a comprehensive vegan resource in podcast form. One can listen to that anytime on the treadmill or going for walks or whatever. And let me see. Somebody just wrote something there. I don't know if it's gone. Let's see. I think I've just about. Does anybody else have any? Somebody's spitting the dummy there and saying, Derek is saying, WTF. Is it really freaking you out, Derek? I mean, we're just talking about nonviolence and justice here. We're not, this isn't and it's not some new thing either. I mean, veganism is not some fringe philosophy. It's right out there now. So it's like a 21st century grassroots nonviolent movement. So it's growing exponentially. Let me see. And I think does anybody else have any other questions? Because you're welcome, Alana. Yeah, just contact me at info@howtogovegan.org. And anybody who wants to contact me and ask questions, I'm happy to, any questions that are sincere, I have more than enough time to answer them. And somebody said, we don't need to eat beef or dairy. We can. That's true. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to say today. I wanted to share this essay, Gentle World, because they have lovely essays on their site, and I could reinvent the wheel and talk about it. But I mean, sometimes people are just so eloquent. Why reinvent the wheel when they say it so wonderfully? Hey, so if nobody has any other questions or comments, is anybody else going to do WTF and freak out at veganism being talked about? Anyway, so anyway, that's all I'll have to say for now. And thank you so much for watching. And if you can think of any other questions that you might have or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I'll check them out, and hopefully I'll do a live stream soon where I can just talk about about the comments or questions. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching. My name's Trish Roberts. You're watching Faint Signals from Vega. Oh, and before I go, I meant to tell you, in addition, this is very sad, but in addition to that essay, where it mentions that there are actually calves who are removed their mothers. I'm not trying to upset anybody, but there are calves regularly taken from their mother at the slaughterhouse after the mother has been killed, dairy cows, and they cut open the mother's abdomen and remove the calf while the calf is still alive. And then they stick a long needle into the calf's heart while it's beating and remove blood from the calf. And that blood is used as a medium in experiments. Now, that can be actually, if we were a mostly vegan society, this wouldn't be happening, and we would have already had a replacement for that medium. But this, because animals are they're just looked upon as resources and things. This is the gruesome sort of things that are happening in slaughterhouses every single day, where regularly pregnant cows, dairy cows, after they're killed, their baby calf is removed from their abdomen and a long needle stuck in their heart while it's still beating, and blood is removed. I mean, what have we become? That we're doing this to mothers, and these innocent, these little. I mean, the only crime they've committed is that they're another species. So, it's tragic. And this is because of dairy, cheese and yogurt and our dairy lattes. And we don't need to have this. There's alternatives that are totally yummy. I don't miss dairy at all. So, I've been vegan for 12 years and it's just the best decision I've made in my life. So I implore people to really think about it and think about going to one of those sanctuaries. Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary is an excellent sanctuary. It's in Colorado, mind you, but I like that sanctuary because they promote veganism clearly as the answer to, sort of cruelty, as the answer to animal cruelty, because there's no such thing as humane use of animals, and even if there were, it would still be unjust. So Vegan Sanctuary is a great place. Peaceful Prairie Sanctuary is a great place to check out. And there are other sanctuaries, and go there and spend some time with the non-human animals there, and see see their sentience and see them for the sentient individuals that they are. And then it will really start to click to you what we're doing when you connect what's on your plate and what's on your back with these sentient animals who are no different from the dogs and cats whom we share our, where some people share our lives with, when we make that connection, it completely transforms what we're doing. We've made that connection then with the sentient animals that are that have been killed and are on our plates, and and that's, and when we make that connection, that's when things start to change. And honestly, you'll just find that your whole being, your consciousness starts to expand in a way to include other sentient animals who happen to be 99.99% of the planet's population. That's something that we can do. So that was a sad story I wanted to say to you that happens every single day in slaughterhouses, and what a gruesome thing it is, and how it's all avoidable because we can go vegan and we can stop creating demand for this tragic enslavement that we are doing to sentient animals. If we go vegan, demand stops, and then the supply will eventually stop. There won't be any need for these horror slaughterhouses and for the torture that all these non-human animals go through, and the abduction of their children and all that sort of thing. So it's just something that we can think about. And I'm glad to hear you're thinking about going, Lonnie. That's great. I don't know, where do you live, Lonnie? Because I might be able to think of a sanctuary nearby. Anyway, that's a great thing. And let me know how that goes, Lonnie. You can send an email to info@howtogovegan.org and let me know how that visit to the sanctuary goes. Okay, so I will wind up now. So thanks so much for watching. My name's Trish Roberts. You're watching Faint Signals from Vega. Till next time. Bye for now.